Francisco 49ers deep in the heart. Like Joe Montana in the corner, D. Clark. Garrison Hurst, stiff farm going 99.
This is the 49er Faithful UK show, and that was week 10. The Niners come away from a warm and, we are reliably told, very sweaty Tampa with a 23-20 win. Much like certain members of the crowd, it wasn't pretty, but it is a road win. That's 2 on the bounce either side of the bye week, and we are back to a winning record, the first time since week 1. I'm Gareth Ellis, and I'm joined by Paul Hope.
Victory Monday feels pretty good, fellas.
Nadgy Paul.
Hello, everyone.
And what remains of Lee Gowland?
I'm only here so I don't get fined.
Good to see you, gents, and good to see you have made it back from watch parties, Lee and Paul. Sum them up briefly.
It was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, big shout out to Seb Chandler for arranging the Yorkshire watch party, Gareth. So that was at Hickory's in Adel, Leeds. The staff were brilliant, and they've said we've got an open invitation. So it was family friendly, which you'll have saw from the photos. Mm-hmm. So Jasmine joined me and Tracy. There was a couple other members brought young children. The game wasn't pretty, but the night was fantastic. And I'll say, Nadgy, curse? What curse?
Try his hardest, didn't it? The curse.
Oh, we've got some stories.
Maybe I shall look forward to those. Do you have your talking points? Let's get straight into the game while Lee is still awake.
Only go first, because then you can rest.
Feeling moody. We're not that special. And time to step up and manage.
Interesting. Very negative. Very negative.
Yeah, this is where I'm the opposite to Lee Nadgy. I'm smirking.
Yeah.
Special teams, you can't talk about this game and not mention special teams. A lot to unpack. It wasn't pretty, but it feels good to win. And even after that performance, Lee, I do feel there's a lot to be positive about. I really do. And finally, there's been a lot of talk this year about the defensive struggles. And whilst we all have other talking points from the game, which people will be surprised I'm going down the defensive route, it wasn't spectacular, but it was solid. And I just want to take some time to talk about it, because if you take that muffed punt away, chaps, the defence would have held them to under the predicted scores that we all gave.
What have you got, Nadgy?
Well, I'm going to have to go a lot more positive. What is all this doom and gloom? We've won the game. Hey, Ricky Pearsall. Yay! Point number 1, Ricky Pearsall. Point number 2, it's good to have your backups back. Thank you for coming back, CMC. Third point is, I was going to go with special team, but I'm not going to talk about that. I want to talk about Brock.
Yes, Nadgy. See, I knew someone. I cheated with some positives, bundled it all in. But yeah, I don't think it's all doom and gloom, Nadgy. Not from where I'm sat, anyway.
Talking points, though. What's going on?
Consistency amongst us all once again. I've simply got Moody's, miscues, and magic. I think that covers pretty much everything. Let's do something dirty. Let's do special teams and get it done and forgotten. Special teams. Is that what you meant by special, Lee, with your word?
Yeah, we're not that special. So yet again, I mean, it's another episode, and as Paul says, we can't not talk about the game and not mention special teams. Crazy. Because it's horrendous. It is. And there's nothing. I mean, two of my points are pretty much go hand in hand. We're not that special, and time to step up and manage. It's time for Kyle to make a change. Everybody can see how bad it is. Yeah, why not? Why not special teams? I think something needs to happen, because special teams hasn't just been a problem this season either. It's been a problem for a few seasons.
Yeah. It's been a long time.
It's causing issues. It's obviously it's holding us back. We're missing points on the board now. We're causing issues for ourselves. We're giving the ball away, and it's just something has to happen. He has to fire the coach. Horrible to say, because I don't like anybody to lose the job, but we are useless on special teams. We can't get away from that fact.
Yeah, my biggest problem is we seem to be making the same mistake over and over and over and over again. And we've been calling for it. I think Jacob Cowing, and as much as we liked him a lot, playing wide receiver, and we've got a lot of hype for him and a lot of hope, we've said it in the past 5 or 6 years, putting a rookie as a returner is not a good idea. A bad thing will happen to you. And luckily, this is just a season game. But like when this happens in postseason, that's your season over. And we all remember the NFC Championship against the Giants, and this is what you just cannot have doubt at that position. It has to be solid. And again, I also go back to Ray McLeod. As much as he didn't score any points on special team, he was solid. He didn't make really that many mistakes over the 3 or 4 years that he was. And I don't remember him muffing a punt or a kickoff ever. Or if he did, it wasn't critical. I don't remember. Maybe I've got short-term memory and people can remind me. But
he definitely had a fumble.
Nadgy, because I was confused about that play last night because I was expecting a flag on the play because I thought our player was pushed into Cowie.
Yeah, it's a bit close, to be fair. I did rewatch it, but he is our own player, and he doesn't try to get out of the way. He just rams into him. So,
but he was pushed into him. He was pushed into him.
They were kind of pushing each other. It wasn't really obvious. You can really tell when they pushed into, blocked into them. Like he was running towards him regardless, and he just kind of was a gentle nudge in the same direction. So I think it was close. It could have been called, but. It should just not happen. Just get out of the way. Just don't even try to catch it. Just this is.
And ironically, it was Darrell Luter Jr. again.
Yeah,
Womack wouldn't have done that.
No, well done, Gareth. You're right.
You had to go there, didn't you?
He would not.
To go there. But no, this is what I'm saying though. Just the same mistake again, and luckily again, it didn't cost us in this game because we managed to win it. But it just puts us in such a hole, and momentum shift, and it's just don't lose momentum. We have the game. The game's in our pocket. It's a punt. We get this. We score on our drive. The game's over essentially. It's 17-3. Why take the chance? And why? Yeah, I think you're right, Lee. Something has to change. Unfortunately, usually that means somebody getting fired, and I don't like it either. I wish there was an easier solution and a better one. But something has to change. It's just not good enough, and he is going to kill us in the postseason if we can make it there. It's plain and simple.
I mean, I'm known for being one of the more positive in the group, Gareth. And after Moody's third miss, the atmosphere at the watch party in Yorkshire was turning. There was a few people voicing frustrations, me included. I think it's the first time in a while Tracy's heard me, for God's sake, when he missed that third one. With about 50 seconds left on the clock, chaps, I turned around and said, we're not winning this one. Dan Goldsberg heard it as, we're winning this one. So he turned and went, Paul's called it. And I was like, well, hang on. I'm not confident yet. Because we'd just seen him miss again. And I thought, if it comes down to it, ironically, if you believe Moody in his press conference, the winning field goal was from the same spot where he'd missed when Debo had a go at him. And he actually took good accountability and said, in a way, I'm not glad that it happened, but that allowed me to focus on how to kick the ball in a different way. And as we said off air, the screens were on a bit of a delay. So some people were jumping up and down. And when you watch the video that Hughesy took, I'm a split second behind. And I'll be honest, chaps, I wasn't confident when he left his foot. I thought, he's missed it again. We're going to go to overtime. Yeah. But we've talked about it all year long, and that's why I wanted to start with special teams, be it the return game, the kicking game, the kickoff game. Special teams has been, I think we said it a couple of weeks ago, just do your job. I don't want to talk about special teams. And it's just getting to that stage now where this time last year, it cost us that game against the Browns, if you remember rightly. So the positive spin, I'm trying to put out on it, everyone. It's happened now. Maybe we grow from this, Gareth. We've won a walk-off field goal.
That's the problem, though, is it's been happening, and it's not just last year. It's the year before that, and the year before that, and the year before that. We just haven't been good at special team for 10+ years now, and nothing's changed. And even with Kyle coming in, 7 years ago, nothing has changed. It's weird, and I understand it's difficult to be good on offense, be good on defense, and also on special team. It's time consuming, it's effort, it's scouting specifically for it. I think that the old Patriots were very good at it, having absolutely solid special team. But it's you have to, especially when you're bad at it. You're just gonna have to dedicate time and do something less. And because we almost lost the game because of it. We gave them 17 points. That's too many points by one phase of the game that really shouldn't be impactful. So yeah, it's frustrating. And as for Moody, the silver lining is that it's missed them by a hair every time. It's not like he shanked them.
Yeah.
He was very close on all 3 misses. The last one that he made was very close too. And he missed a 50, a 49, and a 44, which isn't a given in the NFL by any account. But yeah, it's hopefully he's got all of his miss for the year, and then that's it. I'll still support the guy because I think he's pretty solid. He just really had a bad day, and he was coming back. He hasn't played football for a while. There's that away, the wind. That stadium is renowned for being a bit weird. So yeah, again, we got away with it, but it's going to cost us a lot more in games that will matter. And special team is clutch sometimes. Sometimes that's the edge you need when your offense and defense are match, like next week, for example.
Totally, it can be the difference in tight games.
Well, we remember the Green Bay game, right? In the snow.
Yeah.
It was the difference. It was one play.
It was totally. It was one play.
So
and it went good special teams play. Yeah. I'm pleased for Moody. He got the chance to win it. He doesn't seem that phased, which is exactly what you really want. Yeah, I think it's the tough life of a kicker. You don't do much, but you've always got to do it 100%. It's the same with the other specialists. Imagine a receiver drops a ball, 3 balls in a game. It's not great, but you make 3 mistakes. People let it go. You miss 3 kicks, and it's the end of the world. I'm glad he came back and did it. I think we can go from that. It's a walk off. It's a win. I think it's the kick, the return, and both the recovery and when we're returning kicks is really the problem that it's always been. So it seems it's poorly drilled. I think with Luther, he just gets herded into carrying, and you just just stop running, mate. What are you doing? You do not need to be there. Young player, why isn't that coached into him?
Yeah.
To know what to do, to recognise that he's just been herded into the kick returner. He didn't need to be there. That it's the frustration because that seems to just be a coaching error. Why are you making this mistake? It's not like a drop mistake. It's a being in the wrong place at the wrong time and you didn't need to be there mistake. I think that was frustrating, and that's when you start to look at the coaching and why do we see this more than once.
I will say I think the injuries that we've suffered throughout the season have not helped because usually your special teamers are your third backups, and unfortunately those third backups are not playing, so they can't be on special team as well or less, which means people that probably should be just on the bench and 4th string, 5th string are not playing on special team. And so I think there's something to be said here. I'm not excusing it, I'm just looking for answers and solution. But I do agree. I think there is definitely, if you're going to have rookies and second year players and people that aren't here very often, why haven't you got the coaching staff that can drill people into making the right plays? It's not. I know it's easier said than done, but it just again we'll go back to what Lee said earlier. Something needs to change, whether it's coaching, whether it's bringing players that are better at it. I don't know, but it can't carry on.
What do we say? We say on this show, Gareth, mistake-free football.
Yeah,
we're 10 weeks in, and the special teams. I think we've had 1 week where we haven't come on this podcast, and special teams haven't been dominating. When I was preparing for tonight, I was thinking, right, I don't want to go down that route first, but it was the first thing that sprung to mind: the positive of the field goal, but the negatives of all the other stuff. I mean, the muffed punt. I was talking to a Seahawks fan at the bar, because I didn't realise the game was kicking back off, and he was asking about the group. And then one of the lads come running through and was like, "Oh my God, have you seen that, Paul?" And you just look at the screen and you see it, like you said, Gareth, it's a comedy of errors, and that's the momentum shift. And before you know it, we're back at like, what, the scored a touchdown? And you're like, how more points do we want to give away before, like you said, Nadgy, something changes?
Yeah.
I could be way off the mark with this. I get the impression that Shanahan doesn't feel that special teams are that important.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's true or not. And I also get the impression that we're selecting the players to be the backup receivers, the backup tight ends, the backup players, and that's their main role. And it's just like, since you're not doing anything, you can go on special teams as well, rather than what you felt. You mentioned it with Bill Belichick and the Patriots. What you felt like was those players that the Patriots would go through camp and say, look, you're not there to be the receiver or the running back or the tight end this year. So this year you are going to be special teams, and you are a special teams specialist, and that is what you are going to do. If there's an emergency, you'll come on and play your position. You still need to know the playbook. But your job for us this year is special teams.
Yeah.
And if you do well at that and earn your place in that, camp next year, you might be there for the wide receiver or the tight end job.
And I think,
I don't get that impression that we operate that way.
No, and I think the Womack, saga is a very symptomatic of all that. I think he was definitely a difference maker on special team, and had Kyle and John seen that they could have diverted all of his talent to special team, I think he would still be with us. But they didn't consider him as a good enough cornerback to be on the team, without being just a special teamer, and then you ship him off to go and play somewhere else. So I think you're right. I think there's clearly there needs to be a mental shift on how special team are approached and targeted if we want to get better at it. But that's probably, unfortunately, going to take this season, this off season, and next season to get to it. It's not going to magically happen in a click of a finger. That's work. We'll see.
Things to work on. Anyway, enough about special teams. Unless anyone else wants to go any further, but no, let's not. Pretty, not pretty. Positives, Paul.
Oh, come on.
You wrapped a lot into that.
Come on, Paul. Give us the start of the game and tell me that's not a positive game. I know it was close, but.
Is this going to go into BP as well?
I think
or BCB, sorry.
Well, I think you've misunderstood, Nadgy, when I say it wasn't pretty. It wasn't the Niners we're used to, but I'm quite upbeat. I was watching that game last night, and there was a few people's heads dropped, and I was like, you put those points on the board that are missing. Our predictions weren't a million miles off, and our good friend Johnny Dell has taught me and Lee to wait until that game tape is out and go back and watch it. Ricky Purcell, route running, absolute perfection. That first touchdown, unbelievable. And as Martin Hughes, friend of the show, called it, Gareth, he said, you chaps on the show have been calling for that touchdown. I was like, yes, we have. George Kittle, back to his best. CMC, baby. First time this season we can say that. Where do I go now? Jennings knew that Moody was struggling, so he got an extra couple of yards for him. Used that intelligence. There was people in the bar shouting, get out of bounds. Oh, hang on, you've got an extra 15 yards. Oh, it's now a chip field. So there were certain things where I was sat there thinking, this game isn't pretty, but we lost a game like this last year to the Browns. Now, I don't want to steal Nadgy's thunder with Brock, so I have got the stats, but what we do best on this show is the rabbit hole. So Nadgy, I'm going to hand to you for you to hand back to me, because you mentioned Brock, because I think it goes hand in hand with me being positive. So come on, buddy, help me out.
It does. I thought that was probably Brock's best game this year. Maybe, again, short-term memory, but he was in full command, and you can clearly tell having CMC back has kind of eased him up back in his just coolness that it was, and he just found him. I mean, 6 target, right, for CMC through the air, which is pretty much as many as Mason's had through 9 weeks, or 8 weeks, because Mason was out last week.
Just the 68 yards on those catches, Nadgy.
Yeah, so,
duper over the top one, which we all were like, what's he doing?
Was beautiful. That one was beautiful. But no, it's just you can clearly see his poise level, and I'm not saying it dropped, but it just kind of elevated in a pocket. It was a lot easier for Brock to do everything that he needed to do, and finding Ricky for his first touchdown 7 weeks after the guy got shot is pretty impressive. Really happy with what I saw, because it reminded me, if you just swap the jersey, take the 4 out, put a 1 on it, it looked like what Ayuk used to do. And then with the burst of speed at the end.
Do you think it's fair to say, Nadgy, that the passing game looked like it did last year?
Yeah.
And remember, chaps, we watched a perfect passer game from Brock Purdy against the Buccaneers. Like you said, Nadgy, 0 turnovers last night.
Yep.
25-36. Yep. 352 yards, Gareth, just a typical Brock performance. 2 touchdowns.
Someone called it Brock game.
Yeah, and he led the team not once, but twice in those last few minutes. put the team on his back. And we were talking, Nadgy, there was one point, it was as if Carl was listening, chaps. I was bemoaning the lack of play action. And then the next play action, big gain to Kittle. The anticipation, Tom Brady was gushing about it in the booth. He was saying there's no one better than the middle of the field with Brock Purdy. And it was on performance last night. Debo, not the one I wanted to talk about the argument. That catch and the Yak boys were back. It's the first time this season we've saw a lot of Yak from the 49ers. And that just shows, that one was Kittle, Nadgy, was unbelievable.
It wasn't really, it was just like, oh, we used to do this all the time. I forgot that we used to do this all the time. And it's easy. Why did we not do this the last 9 weeks?
Do you know what made that Kittle one better? He had only had one target heading into that fourth quarter. And a lot of people were saying, where's Kittle? And then, like you said, Nadgy, was up, here he goes. And then the touchdown, the scrambling. What did we say a couple of weeks ago, Gareth? We don't want Brock to run around and hold the ball for 28 seconds. It seemed like it last night, Nadgy. We were like, what is he doing? Oh, touchdown, back corner, Kittle.
I will say, though, is if you go and rewatch that touchdown and just watch Brock in the pocket, the way he moved about and juked the defender by faking going up and going back out and faking going up again and faking going right and then eventually scrambling out left, I thought that was a lot more mature than what we'd seen him done before. He did by himself a lot of time by not just escaping straight away and then running out of time. He really bought enough time for George to find the corner of the end zone. I thought that was masterful. And if Pat Mahomes do this, it's on every highlight for 24/7 on the NFL Network. Probably won't see that at all because it's Brock and people hate him. But I just thought, he was just called MVP by a landslide, and he just had the game in his hand. And if it wasn't for those mistakes on special team and Moody just actually scored some field goal, I genuinely believe we win that game 35-3 or 35-7 or something like that. It really didn't look hard for him on the day at all. He was just doing what he's been known to do for a long time, which is distribute the ball to everyone. I think there is a stat that he had 350 yards and something like 8 catches, 8 player caught the ball. None of the people had 100 yards, so he literally just threw it to everyone. Which is
they
really
only had 30 yards each, apparently, Nadgy. But
but that's that's what you want to see. This is where we're at our best, when people kind of have no idea where we're going to go, and it could be Debo, it could be JJ, it could be Kittle, it could be CMC, it could be Purcell now as well. People just don't know, and they don't know how to defend it, and that's how when we're at our best.
I will say, that Kittle touchdown. Kittle has come out afterwards and said that the play design was for CMC. And what George was told, Nadgy, was to get open in the end zone and make a nuisance of himself for the defenders. And he said he looked around and it was if they knew. Like you said, CMC in the red zone. We still struggled in the red zone.
Totally.
It was nice to see him there to kind of open up. And you mentioned that score there, Nadgy. Think back to after the bye week last week against the Jags. We came out the bye week and we smashed them, put the points on the board. And that's what I was trying to say to people yesterday. The points were there. We just haven't taken them. But you look at the score and you think 23-20. That was quite close, but I don't think the game was as close as the score reflects.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I was just going to say about tying into my point about having CMC back. It's just such a threat, isn't it? You can tell the defense respects it so much, and he was on the field for quite a while. I should have pulled up the snap count, but I think it was something like 35 out of 38 in the first half. Which
54 of 61 snaps, which was 88% Nadgy. There you go.
There you go. Thank you very much. He's back. He's full, healthy, full game. We'll see how his body reacts to an actual full game. But it was just good it just felt normal. Back like what we were expecting the team to be. And
a bit back. CMC, I think a bit back to normal, but still a bit disjointed, I thought. The red zone in particular, we can talk about Moody's missed field goals, but he could have also turned back to Debo and said, why aren't you guys scoring touchdowns? Why is it always down to me to kick? Stupid argument, I know, but that's the reality, that we still don't seem to be able to put it all together. The bits are coming back, and I think at the moment, Purdy is what's holding it all together, because he needs to have these good games to overcome the fact that we're just still not getting in rhythm and we're not getting momentum. And we don't seem to be able to string together those back-to-back touchdown drives that good teams do. I was reading, I read what the other teams have done over the weekend, and several teams were scoring, 4 touchdowns out of 4 drives, or 3 touchdowns and a field goal out of 4 drives. I can't remember us doing anything like that this season, and because that's
No,
what
not
the
yet.
good teams getting into rhythm do, and it's what we were doing at the beginning and back end of last season. I've still got hope it can come, but we're still not there yet.
I will say though,
let's stick with positives. Sorry.
Yeah, the Bucs are a good team. They took the Chiefs to overtime. My guess is they're probably going to win the NFC South. It's going to be a close one, but
Falcons have got it.
Yeah, the Falcons might have got it, but they are a good team and they're fighting and they're well coached. And we were on the road after a bye week, so you're a little bit kind of disjointed. Yeah, it was very hot. CMC first game, so it takes some time to get back to full speed. Just like Ayuk when he signed his contract, I think we'll see the real CMC in probably 2 or 3 weeks until he really truly gets back to speed. So when you put all that together, being so far away on the East Coast, I kind of was expecting, and that's why I predicted 30 points. I think if it had been at home and CMC had been back a couple of weeks, I would probably predict 35 or 36.
Not 59?
Not 59, not yet. Keeping that for later on in the season. Sorry,
but
no, I was watching the game and it kind of reminded me of when we were watching them against Tampa last year. And a couple of things break your way and you score 37, and not the other way around. It's the NFL. It's hard to win games, especially when things don't go your way. And when things go really well their way, that play by Baker on the 4th and 7 was pretty insane. So there's a lot of things that happen.
Yeah.
Well, yes, absolutely. But it's also a very good play by Baker Mayfield, I think.
But he shouldn't have been able to make that play.
No, he should have not. But that's Baker for you. He's relentless.
We'll get onto the boss a bit. Before we move off Purdy, though, I've got some stats because I know the people in the show. The Buccaneers blitzed Purdy 42.9% of his dropbacks last night, Nadgy. But he was great against it. 12 of 14 attempts for 200 yards and a touchdown. And it was the Brock that we know and love. And when he's got his full complement of weapons there. And people underestimate the importance of CMC to this offense. Like you said, Nadgy, 13 rushes for 39 yards. So he's not challenging RB1 Jordan Mason with those stats. But he's sprinkling the 6 catches for 68 yards. And there was a play where he ran a wheel route and he went out and he got his hands up straight away. And Seb said to me, is he signalling for Kyle Shanahan there? Something wrong with CMC? I said, no, he's trying to throw the defender off by saying I'm open, even though he's not getting the ball. And we've said before, sometimes Debo can not show that enthusiasm. So on that play, Nadgy, CMC wasn't getting the ball, but he's putting 100% into throwing the defender off on the wheel route. And I think another thing that helped
do your job
was Jennings being instructed that he was wide receiver 1, and he's being told he's going to play in the X slot, which was Ayuk's. And I think, like you said, Nadgy, it showed the confidence in JJ last night. Yeah. And, that player talked about getting those extra yards.
I mean,
JJ's in the NFL.
JJ's invaluable to us. I dread to think what will happen to that offense. I mean, we did see what happens when we lose him. We're not just got the same fight in us. And the last play is just exactly why we should keep JJ forever.
Before we go down the Bosa route, so the last positive to finish off, chaps, we outgained the Buccaneers by 200 yards and by 3.1 yards per play margin. So the ceiling for this offense is high. So the sky is not falling in. We've used that one before. Stay with us, faithful.
That's it. We get even if Moody misses one of those field goals because of the wind, if we get a touchdown and he makes one of the others, we've won by 13 points.
Yeah, it's an easy win.
Because we got the yards, we just didn't get the scores.
As I said, you take the muff punt away, and even if you score a field goal at that point, it's 16-3 late in the third. The game is almost over, and if we score a touchdown on that drive, coming out of the half, it's 100% over and it's an absolute blowout. So it's the NFL. We are very good at letting people hang around, but it's starting to change. I said in the Discord at the end of the game, I truly believe a couple of weeks ago we lose that game, and we have gotten better, got over the hump. The Browns game last year is a perfect example of it was that type of game where both teams could have won it, and we lost it in Cleveland, and we've just managed to put something together to win this game. The last drive by Brock was incredible, by the way.
It's the sign of a good. It is the sign of a good team winning when you play badly.
Absolutely.
And you only have to look across at the games Kansas City probably should have lost this year, and they're still unbeaten because every time there's that 50-50 at the end of a tight game, they always come out on the top side of it. It's a good skill to have.
Positive vibes, Gareth. Don't
positive vibes.
Kansas City and Gowland. You've got to join the positivity before we move on. You've been too quiet. Come on. You can't be doom and gloom.
It's because I'm quietly dying inside.
Yeah. Go on then.
Self-inflicted. Self-inflicted.
Defensive side. Defensive struggles. Did think the defense was on the edge of imploding a little bit towards the back end of that game. And we have mentioned or certainly I predicted a big game for Bosa. And when Wirfs went out of the game early, I thought, this is it. This is time to feast. And he had another game where he was completely anonymous. Where else can we start with the defense?
It was bang average. Bang average.
We're paying him like a defensive player of the year candidate every year, and he's simply not been this season.
He's not quite there yet. That's true.
He's not close to it. It's not that he's quite.
To be fair,
completely agree with you, Gareth.
He was listed as questionable for that game.
He was banged up. Yeah,
the heat, the lack of depth. I mean, that play you've talked about, Lee, where he had hold of Baker's arm and he went across,
holding his hand.
Just drag him down to the floor.
Yeah,
but
then equally, it was if the rest of the defense switched off because obviously Baker gets the ball out and it's like, oh well, Bosa's about to sack him. But that was kind of, as you said, Nadgy. There were those sinker moments where you think it's happening, isn't it? It's just, when it could go wrong, it could go wrong.
Who's on coverage on White on that play?
Yeah, it was Campbell.
Yep.
Campbell. Once again, yeah.
Once again, one good play in the game.
Miss Gray. Come on,
Gray. On a third thing. I think that's the biggest problem. We're basically playing 10v11. Campbell is utterly useless. Even on the wide rushing touchdown, he kind of gets in the way of Fred getting to the ball. Fred has to take a different angle and just gets there late. It's just, I'll say again, I don't want to keep saying it because, he has a family and he's a human being, but can we please put him on the bench? Keep paying him, it's fine. I don't want to see him on the field anymore. He's useless. Dre, please come back, quick.
Totally.
You do realise Chris Wood's going to create a GIF with that said, that man has a family, put him on the bench, and there's just going to be a picture of you in the Discord. Make it happen, Chris. I mean, the defence, before you go off, it wasn't that bad. They only managed 215 yards on 58 plays, 3.7 yards per play. Take the muff punt out. Now, I don't think the defence was spectacular.
It's that handful of bad mistakes, isn't it? They're solid, and then just go absent. And make those poor individual mistakes from, as Nadgy's talked about, and Bosa. We missed Ward. I think that.
I was going to say that we missed Mooney a bunch. Yadon wasn't quite there.
I'm surprised Green wasn't immediately promoted to being on the perimeter.
It did play quite a bit.
He's in the slot, I think, mostly.
Yeah, I think he is because Leno is playing outside. I've been still expected from a rookie. You don't expect him to be flashy front of the page every week. He's going to have up and down weeks. I expect him to have a big week next week, hopefully, or the week after. When are we playing the Seahawks? Week after.
No, it's Sunday, isn't it?
Is it this Sunday? I thought we were playing the Bills this Sunday. No, we play. Yeah, that's right. Okay. So next week against the Bills, the Seahawks. Apologies.
You were just testing if everybody was listening. Nadgy, I like it. I know what you were doing.
It's got DKs in his pocket. We did miss Mooney, and then same again. You have Mustafa was a rookie. You have Brown was a second-year player. It's going to be up and down, and I genuinely think Baker Mayfield is a good quarterback, and I've been saying it since I watched him play at college as he entered the league. He got to the Browns. No one's good there. So after a little time off, I think he's a good QB. He's got fight in him. He plays never over.
We gave you your props in the preview show, Nadgy. I did say you were a fan of Baker, so I always keep an eye on that.
I like the guy because he annoys everybody, and he just lives rent free in
He
people's
annoys
mind.
everybody.
He does. He annoys everyone, which is I think is a great quality to have as a quarterback. But
do you not think we've been spoilt on defense though? Because there was no big splashy play, there was no turnovers, and that's what I meant at the start. Actually, it was they were quietly solid. And if the offense had put the points on, I don't think we'd have spent much time talking about the defense aside from that play with Bosa. And that's what I meant. Like, Sorensen's came in for a lot of stick, Gareth. And we sat here tonight, we haven't nearly lost that game because of the defense. And I just wanted to say maybe we've turned a corner. Maybe it's
I don't know.
When Ward comes back and add a few other pieces. I don't know. Maybe
I do feel like the 2 15-yard penalties that you get on the last drive are not really acceptable. That should be coached out of people. A face mask on the defense, it's pretty rare to have 2 in a row, which cost you almost a game, really. It's pretty bad. It can happen where your hand kind of slips and it's full speed. It's very difficult. But then you have to have the mental capacity to regroup and make sure that doesn't happen again. And it seems they convert a 4th and 7, which ends the game if this doesn't happen. And then we give them 15 yards, and we give them 15 yards again, even though it's 4th and something. And it's just there's a bit of a lack of coaching wise. There's a lack of something here that worries me a little bit, because we could have lost this game because of this drive. Because if they score a touchdown, it's very difficult for us to win the game. So kudos for them to stopping them and getting a field goal, but also
the script writers had listened, Nadgy. We called for a goal line stand in our bold predictions, and I have to admit, I was thinking, Paul, what did you say that for in the podcast? 50 seconds to go, Nadgy. It looked like Bucky Irvin was running that one in. Yeah. I was giving up hope, and we had the goal line stand. It wasn't quite a flashy play, but we held them to the field goal, and as you said, that turned the momentum. So ahead of the Seahawks game, we need to think of some bold predictions like that, but maybe it's a bit earlier, because I don't think my heart can cope with another week like this one.
Side note, Bucky Irving, great player. Keep going, buddy.
I think it's difficult to evaluate our defense. Obviously, Greenlaw is missing, who's been a big part of that.
Yeah.
And I think we've been unsettled. Same with the offense, in the fact that it's not the same unit from week to week. I think Sorensen has made some errors, as you would expect from a first-time DC. I think some players have made individual errors as well. But I think overall, it has been a pretty decent unit this year. But whether it's decent enough, it's still got a lot that needs work, I think, on the defensive side of the ball. And we'll see. With Greenlaw, and I think a bit of continuity, and obviously Sorensen getting more into the rhythm and experience of it, the potential's there. But like the offense, it still seems we see all the bits, we just don't see them all come together consistently for even a full quarter, let alone a full half of football. We see bits of it, and then those bits seem to vanish when we need them. But they came back when we really needed them.
That's very true.
I think that's all that can be said from that game.
I think Saleh, DeMeco Ryans years right about now is when we started seeing the real them, and how that defense started progressing into stratospheric level of goodness. So I would expect them to really step up and up and up from now on. And if we don't see that, I think I'll start getting worried about what is going on with Sorensen and all the assistant coach and whoever is, because maybe there's something not quite right there that we don't quite see on a daily basis. So I would expect from now to ramp up to full level to the level that we expect them to be, and having Dre back will obviously help massively.
I mean, the secondary, the reason I wanted to positive, the Buccaneers didn't have a receiver with more than 11 receiving yards. And they didn't have a receiver with 2 catches. I know they didn't have any, Nadgy.
They didn't have any receiver.
They were thrown out to the tight ends. But again, I'm trying to think, like, the Buccaneers have played well coming into this game. Like you said, I went back and watched the Chiefs game, and I thought, we can't go into this game lightly. I don't think the chaps out in Tampa were expecting such a nail-biter.
No, it's good, though.
They got a win. They got a win.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're happy about it.
I don't like Lee being quiet. Lee, you're too quiet. I know it's self-inflicted, but come on, you've got to join in.
What do you want us to say, mate? What do you want us to say?
How badly
you're right, there was some
we're
positives.
missing Sammy Womack badly on the defense.
We definitely missing Sammy Womack. To me, the biggest positive yesterday was John Jennings. I thought he was excellent again.
You did call him having a big game, and he was the top receiver.
Yeah, I'm a bit disappointed he didn't get in the end zone because I did manage to pick him up on the waiver wire on one of my fantasy teams. So I did start him, so I was happy with that. But yeah, Jennings looks good. I'm liking Ricky Purcell. What I've seen of him so far, he looks really good. I can't wait till he gets into his stride. A couple of more weeks and I think we'll start and see the best of him. It bodes well for the stretch that we're coming up on. And as you said, I think there was positives to take out. I think it's natural for us to be a little bit disappointed about yesterday. Nadgy, you mentioned about coming off the bye week. I had big expectations because we'd had that bye week and we were going up against a team that played overtime on Monday night, and I just didn't think it was good enough, the performance that we put in. I don't think there can be any excuses for that. You can't use the heat as an excuse because Tampa Bay played in the same heat we did. I just think that we should have had more energy than them, and it just didn't appear to be that way. Back to the positives. CMC, he looked good. He didn't look as though he was that rusty. He hasn't lost any speed or anything.
I think the big one he got, when he burst up the middle and he got tackled by the safety. I think if he's fresh and 100%, that's a touchdown. Because the safety hand tackled him in open field. Yeah, I don't know. It felt like he was annoyed at himself. So I think his brain is still a little faster than his legs are. He'll get there.
Yeah. Apparently, it was only the third time in 8 weeks he'd had pads on. He'd said after the game. So,
right.
Even the pass from Brock, I think 9 times out of 10 he breaks that tackle and walks in the end zone.
And on the opposite side of the ball, Ronaldo Green. For me, I thought he was excellent.
It's good.
He had a really good game. I would like to see him start over Yadam because I just do not like him. I would love to see him opposite Lennart. Yeah. So, I mean, plenty of positives. Obviously, a win's a win. It's an ugly win, but it's a win. And we move on to Seattle, and we're back at Levi's, and hopefully we put in the type of performance that we all want and expect.
Definitely. I'd just like to echo what you said about Purcell. I don't think we've given him enough for the one play. Not only was the route fantastic, but that little stutter step where he slows down just to make the defensive back do the same, and then he's off. And the finish, being able to be flying backwards, hanging it out with one hand on the ball, is that's what we see from elite level players, being able to finish that off, because otherwise he's down at the 1, isn't he? And we're kicking a field goal, let's face it.
Or maybe not.
Or missing a field goal. Great finish. We know these receivers need to earn a little bit from Kyle, so I'm expecting more targets, particularly next Sunday. Anything else? I think the best thing was the win ugly. We pulled out the win because the win is the win, and it's a road win against another team that's got a similar record to us. They're certainly not there to be bullied. That's got to be positive overall, I think, even though it didn't feel that way for much of the game, I've got to say.
Yeah,
well, I think when you keep a quarterback of the quality of Baker Mayfield down to 109 yards, I think it was, then we've done the job.
Yeah, absolutely.
Doesn't matter how it looked, we've done the job.
He had no one to throw at.
I know he didn't.
Let's not take it away.
It didn't look or feel the way we wanted it, but I think if you squint hard enough, you could see an easy win.
Yeah. As I said, on another day, we instead of missing 3 field goals, we get a touchdown and a field goal out of that, and that's 10, and we won 33-20.
I mean, there was a few people last night, Gareth. I heard murmurings again about Shanahan, so I'm not going to name names. You're watching the game, it's emotional, frustrations, and I was saying to a few people, okay, devil's advocate, who do you replace him with? And as Johnny Dell said, go back and watch the game tape in a couple of days' time. It's clicking. You'd be more worried if the offense wasn't clicking. And it was, special teams, we've gone on about it. But Shanahan, as well as the criticism of Is he leading from the top? Are the players frustrated? Debo boil over. In real time, that looked awful.
Didn't talk about that.
Watched it back again today, and he's gone to push Tabor Pepper away, and he's gotten it. But at first glance, I thought, what's Debo doing? Punching our kicker. And that's why Tabor Pepper had got involved. But apparently, Debo had taken it upon himself to go over and say, lock in. They've had a bit of handbags, for want of a better word. And good friend of the show, Tabor Pepper, decided to stand up and be big brother. I mean, Nadgy, I wasn't expecting that. Were you, buddy?
No, I wasn't. And I absolutely love it. Long snapper standing up for his kicker. Yeah, frustration builds up. They probably worked really hard this week to try and win this game, and we all were, just like Debo. We know that if he nails those 3 field goals, game's easy. And I think he kind of probably came across like he shouldn't have, but he did apologize. They made amends. Debo was one of the first one on the field to celebrate with him when he did kick the win for him.
Mention that.
So it's Debo. I will expect him to be angry and be like this. He's a bit of a diva. He's probably the biggest diva we have on the team. If that's what we're going to get from him, and he's fired up, and then he puts up a big performance against Seattle, like he always does, we'll forget about it. It is what it is. You're far away, 6,000 miles from home, and you could have been sat on the bench because the game's over, and you're not because your kicker's missed for a field goal. It is frustrating. Admittedly, you should have kept that in and voiced his concern after, but it is what it is. It's some of those people are emotional.
Apparently, Kyle said it was going to get sorted out before they got on the plane, and apparently the 49ers could be in a little bit of trouble because you're supposed to open the locker room 15 minutes after the game for the media, but the 49ers had half an hour after the game where they dealt with it in-house. Apparently they had a big talk, and then obviously they released the footage where everyone's talking and they all come in, and it seems to kind of, it may be the moment, Nadgy. Who thought we could be looking back on this moment, Gareth, and saying Tabor Pepper and Debo Samuel fired this team up? And let's face it, the next field goal he scored. So Debo's probably taken a little bit like, there you go, Nadgy.
There didn't see much in it. I was obviously going to talk about that. I mean, that seems odd because I've seen the interviews that I think all 3 players gave in the locker room, where basically Debo said, well, I have no chance to speak to him yet because he's on the other side of the locker room. But they all basically said the same thing, like, it's nothing. There's not even anything to sort out. I think they asked Moody, has Debo apologised yet? And he's like, well, he doesn't need to apologise because we all know he was frustrated. And I think Moody said, he's right. I should be nailing those kicks. So Moody was just like, there's nothing for him to apologise for.
I think the closed ranks, and then when they released the doors half an hour later, the message was, we're going to sort it out internally on the plane. So all 3 players. That's what I mean. There was a conspiracy theory going around that why weren't the players released after 15 minutes? And we love a good conspiracy theory.
Yeah,
it seemed like it was generally the 3 players were just like, it's nothing. We got overexcited. It happens because we want to win and we're frustrated.
And as Rob Molinar called,
nothing to clear.
Rob Molinar's put a shout in the group. He'd love to see Jake Moody and Tabor Pepper on Debo's podcast this week as the guests.
That'd be good, actually, yeah. This player trying to compete with us. Good luck, guys.
I was going to ask, do you think that it's a good thing to see the players fired up and see a little bit of that at each other on the sideline? I mean, within reason, because it's, Jerry Rice has said that, he would ball people out if they're not trying. Do you think that doing it publicly, if you do it behind closed doors, no one sees it, but if you do it in front of the crowd, the player who's getting the hairdryer treatment, everybody's seen it happen. Do you think it's good or do you think it's bad? Because
I think it's good.
You can go either way.
I think it's good. I think it shows that they actually care about winning games, which, sometimes, especially when contract talks and all that, they all care. All we think, all these young players, all they care is about money. Clearly not on this occasion. And also, it's kind of a self-policing where you don't need the coaches to say the words, where each player sometimes holds each other accountable and to a higher standard. We used to do that at the Romans a few years back, where we had team captains and we used to have meetings just with players so we could iron out issues between us without the knowledge of all the coaches, and it feels a little bit more personal and a little bit more kind of us versus them. The coaches have a view of the team, the players have a different one, and sometimes resolving conflict and things like that is better dealt if you just stay on one side and deal it with it instantly. I don't have a problem with, especially the superstars, calling people off on what they should be, and especially when it's deserved. Moody should have not missed those free kick. 1, yes, that's fine. 3 is not acceptable, and I don't have a problem with a superstar player who's been playing really well saying, "Hey, what are you doing? We're trying to win a game here."
Yeah, if you go back and you watch Tom Brady balled out some of his guys time
Michael
and time
Jordan
again.
used to do the same. Kobe used to do the same. All the greats.
Lee Gowland does it to us.
I don't know.
Lee Gowland. Yeah, no, I don't.
No, I'm jumping on that. Like, I think as well, it depends on kind of D-Ball is a captain, so that's his role on the team. And like I said, Gareth, it looked bad in real time until I've watched it back. It's not as if he's gone over and got right in his face. And like you've all said, it's sport. We've all played various levels of sport. I didn't see anything wrong with it. So
I think the problem is, Paul, is because somebody's taken the video and taken a still from the video, which makes it look a lot worse than what it was. Whereas if you watch the video, it's like handbags at dawn and that's it.
Well, that's the thing. There was nothing. I was watching in a bar, I flicked up and saw the slow motion. And like I said, my first glance was, why is he punching Moody in the head? And then I've watched it again. He's actually pushed Pepper and then his hands glanced over. And like you said, when we watch the replays, Ricky Purcell's touchdown, they showed you an angle, slowed down, where it looked like his foot had gone out of bounds. And it was like, oh, it's coming back. Then you watch it again in real time. Like you said, Gareth, he's got the ball over the plane before he even comes down. And that's the advantage and disadvantage of the technology. But we talk a lot about the culture in our team, the leaders in the locker room. I think, like you said, Nadgy, it shows that they care. So I'm all for it, to be fair.
And speak of things that we care about and are more important than ugly wins, the score predictions table.
Okay.
Yeah, look, he was there. He's ready. Yeah. Well, some of us care.
Yeah, some of us care very much.
Yeah.
Look at that.
How do we do?
Look at his face.
I think we all went for the Niners win, so I think that's all there. But did we squeeze some more points out of it?
Yeah,
we did. That was a good week, right? That was a very good week for everyone, really. I don't think anyone got 15. I think George Hosborough was 1 point away. I think he said 24-20, maybe something like that, or 23-19. A good week. I think we kind of also we were ultimately a little more on the Niners side, but we were right to think that Moody points would have had us all at 15 or 12 points. So I'm very far behind now, 9 points. Although 9 points isn't that much. One good week and you're right back in it. But
I wouldn't worry about it, Nadgy. All you have to do is predict better. You'll soon be back in it.
There you go, Nadgy. Don't be giving me the shade and discard. I'm your friend. It's the man at the top. Look at him. Look at that face. There's your bulletin board material.
With a 7 week, 7 is acceptable. I just wasn't close enough. I am doing this tactically. The 30-18 was a very tactical choice, and I almost very close there. But yeah, Lee's at the top, even beating. Well, is tied with the podcast faithful now, who have been caught up. So 54 points for the both of you at the top. Well done. Paul is subsequently third with 51, 3 points behind. Gareth, who was leading for this long, is now fourth with 49. And I'm bringing the rear with 45. Yeah, so I'm 9 points behind. I do need to predict better. I don't know if I should go bold every week until I actually get lucky, or if I should tactical.
I know what you're doing, Nadgy. Do you know we've just talked about them versus us, and the Discord, they get the piping up a little bit. You know who you are listening at home. So what Nadgy's doing, he's taken on for the team because he's pushing Lee to greater heights. As long as one of the four of us beats them in the Discord group, because I don't think we'll leave the end of it, Nadgy.
Yeah,
although Anthony fooled you, if he was in the competition on his own. Hasn't he got like 75 points?
I think he's got 64 now.
Oh, so sorry, 64.
He's 10 points ahead. Yeah, so that's the way it is. He's still only 10 points away from Lee and the overall podcast faithful. So I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's 60.
They have a better graphic than us as well, Lee. I'm surprised now you're not at the top. You haven't got one of those graphics, because seeing your name go right to the top.
I've never seen it. I've never seen that spreadsheet.
It's a cracking graphic. I could try and find it whilst you talk about something else if you want to see it. It is pretty cool. And Kevin did say that he was going to do others to it, so we can sort that out when.
I've seen the one that does the timeline one where you can see the changes over time.
Yeah, that's what I was on about. That's what I was on about. Sorry if you've seen that one.
It's pretty good.
Let's have a look. Didn't Nadgy throw some shade at you, saying that you were celebrating something due to the point scoring, Lee, in the group chat? Something about the Baker Mayfield towards the end, didn't you say, Nadgy, Lee, they've been celebrating that?
Did you? I was going to ask you. Did you actually celebrate? Did you celebrate that 4th and 7 or not? Because that got you the 2 more points, the bang on 20, right? So because I wasn't. Yes, it was 17 at that point.
It might have been on Discord then, Lee, not in our group chat. I saw something earlier where they were joking. Because to be honest with you, Nadgy, I had the Bucs on 20 points, and I was like saying in the watch party, I was like, I don't care. I don't want them to get the 20. Let's just go down the other end. But
as far as I remember. And let's face it, my memory about last night is very sketchy. As far as I remember, the only thing I remember saying about the Prediction League when we were at 2020 was, I hope we win it with a field goal and we don't score a touchdown. Because if we score a touchdown and get up to 27 points, then that gives Paul another 2 points.
Not that he is competitive at all.
Not that he is competitive at all. Yeah. All right, I've got it. If you want to show it, I'll just play. Am I? Do you want to show my screen? There we go. So you should see that. Do you see it? Oh, hang on. I need to stay on the thing. There you go. I hope you can see this. There you go. You can see the points.
Yeah.
People, I think it's the top 15. So names are dropping up and down and coming in. Anthony is still remaining at the top. Oh, look at that. 66 points. I was very wrong. 66 points.
I have a feeling if Gowland's at the top when this season finishes, one of them might just magically appear, Nadgy.
I've got absolutely no idea how to do that.
You can ask Kev. I'm sure it's something embedded into Excel or whatever he does, which animates it. It's pretty cool. I like it.
And a big shout out to Kev for taking that on and managing. Everybody's involvement in that. It's great to see. Thank you, Kev.
I'm holding his card as hostage. If he doesn't do it, he's not getting it back. It's right there. Oh, that's mine. That's not true. It's mine.
Let's wrap this up. The last thing, Anya found a new thing today. Blue Sky. Lee, you did a thing.
Yeah, I did a thing. Last night.
And you didn't run it past the social media manager first.
I did not. So
He's kicked me out of Instagram as well. So the Instagram was very quiet. Yeah. We had 2 watch parties going on, and only Lee had the logins, and obviously...
You're busy.
Well, the login hasn't changed. It's just that we're now using dual-factor authentication. So when you log in, it'll send us a code, and once you've put that code in, your device is remembered, so you can log in. And it's just, again, to secure it, so nobody can change our password without it sending a code to me, and it has to verify the code, so it just secures it. So Blue Sky, from all accounts, I don't know how true this is. I trust Andy Hodgson, who told us this, but it's been created by the staff who used to work at Twitter, and it's basically a Twitter clone. So we've seen a lot of accounts go over there. It seems to be fairly responsive, fairly quick. I think over the next few months or so, we'll see more NFL accounts going over there, so we can follow those. And it's just another social media app that we can actually use. So I think what we'll have to do,
don't have enough,
because we've got. I was just about to say, because we've got so many, we'll have to figure out some way to centrally manage all those. And I've got a few ideas how to do that.
Yeah. So for context, Gareth, Sarah put a message in the admin group, didn't she? I just finished work, just about to do some jobs around the house, and I was thinking, what on earth is this Blue Sky? And have we been cloned? I thought, well, first imposters. But yeah, the Instagram was just funny last night, because I was talking to staff at Hickory's, and I was saying, I run the social media. I can upload something to the Instagram. And then I tried to log in. It said it was going to send you a code. And I thought, there's no chance of getting that code while you were over there enjoying yourself, shall one say. And I tried to do it earlier, Nadgy. It just didn't work. So the Instagram, we will be putting some photos on from the 2 watch parties and the chaps in Tampa, because they did meet up with good friend of the show, John Chapman, who was showing us the love. The flag was in full force. Matthew Johnson had one job and one job only, and that job was to get Brett Sinclair holding the flag. And I have photographic evidence of Brett, because with him being a proud Scotsman, Lee, he says he's not a massive fan of the Union Jack. Won't go all political on this show. But Matthew assured me he would get a picture of Brett with the flag, and I think he got 2 or 3. So yes, Brett, I will be sharing them when Lee gives me the access again.
Nice.
Anyway, that is a new thing. Right, let's wrap this up unless there's anything else.
So just want to say one thing. So we haven't talked about the meetups today, and that's because we're going to do it on the live show on Wednesday. But I would like to put on record my thanks for the hospitality shown by both Marion and Davey Young yesterday. He did really well in the organisation of the Belfast meetup. I'm looking forward to telling you all about it. Now, I will tell you one thing about this trip over to Belfast, because I mentioned it on the preview show. So Davey had suggested that it might not be a great idea to wear a poppy in Belfast yesterday, because of the troubles. That it might not be seen in a very good light. So rather than risk it, we didn't wear a poppy. As it turns out, everybody we walked past was wearing poppies. What people did take offence to was the San Francisco logo.
Oh, they thought it was something else.
They did think it was something else.
Yeah,
something closely related to Belfast.
I'm missing something.
So yeah, we found ourselves actually explaining to people what the SF was and what it most definitely was not. So that was interesting.
That was awkward. So on Wednesday, Gareth, we have some props, because Hickories have a lovely book called The Rookie's Guide to NFL. So Tracy is getting named and shamed, and I'll go in more detail on Wednesday. She had this book. She thought she was so clever, Nadgy, because there's terms that you could refer to in this book. There was a glossary. So every now and again, Tracy would turn to me and say, the ear gap looks a little bit big there, doesn't it, Paul? Do you know what the ear gap is? And I had the book, and I was like, okay, Tracy. So it is a good thing that the Hickories are promoting the NFL. They also were great with the kids. So the foam finger that Nadgy's got, I have 2 of them downstairs now, which Jasmine had and was rightly pointing around. So yeah, Seb Chandler, Hickories was awesome. You did a great job, buddy. And as Lee said, we will go into more detail about it on Wednesday. So it'd be great to get into the watch parties, Lee.
Yeah, Hickories is good. They were our sponsor when at the Roman, so I don't know if they still are. They probably still are. So yeah, they're very much into American. It's an American smokehouse, steakhouse, whatever. So they are very much into supporting American sport and all that. Good place, good food as well.
Yeah, we had a private room. They tried to do NFL Sundays there, so there was the Sky game was on in the next room. There was different NFL fans blown away by all these crazy 49ers fans invading Adele Hickory Smokehouse in Leeds. But no, it was really good. And like I said, Seb gets full credit. He arranged it all. And it was nice to turn up and share with Tracy and Jasmine. So Jasmine's our lucky charm, everyone. The curse is over. Now all that means, Tracy, is the next watch party, Jasmine needs to come.
Yeah,
and if it's a Super Bowl one, she's missing school the next day. And you've heard it here first.
Yeah, you know what? I've just worked out that was the very first time Paul's been to Leeds and seen us win.
It is.
Yeah.
That was pointed out a few times. That was pointed out a few times. Hence why, when that winning field goal went over, I swung the flag around and I said, "Curse! What curse?" Didn't realise Martin Hughes was videoing.
To quote a very famous quarterback, I bet that felt like getting the monkey off your back.
It did. It did.
It did.
And on that note, Gareth.
Yeah, let's wrap up. I've been feeling sorry for Lee. He wants to go back to bed, so I've been trying to wrap this up.
Too right, I do.
Yeah,
that's why we're not. I would like to talk about something else.
Let's go back to.
Hang on. You see, Lee wants to go back to bed. Lee didn't get to bed till 5:30 this morning.
Yeah.
Right, enough of this. Thank you, gentlemen. It has been a pleasure as always, and thank you to everyone who listens and watches the show. Don't forget you can do all that subscribing to YouTube and even more social media, including Blue Sky, because I think we've got about 4 followers at the moment. So, like back to the old days. We will be back later in the week with another podcast where we will be talking about the birds we fancy plucking on Sunday. So until then, enjoy Victory Week and go Niners.
Go Niners.
Night all.
We love the San Francisco 49ers deep in the heart. Like Joe Montana in the corner, D. Clark. Gareth and Hurst, stiff farm going 99.